Hey guys, what's up? I am starting my second live chat. The topic is LGBTQ representation within fantasy. Sorry, I'm using like kind of my crappy laptop webcam because I couldn't figure out how to start the chat with my phone. It doesn't have like the same layout as the laptop YouTube, so I'm not really sure how to do it on this. But for next week, for sure, I will figure out how to stream on my phone. Excuse me, I lost some in my throat. So how are you guys doing? Hit me up in the chat. Yeah. So again, I apologize about like the crappy crappy camera. It's just it's my laptop, and again, I couldn't figure out how to start it on my iPhone. So I will look up a tutorial or something, and I'll figure it out for next week. But thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I think just like the lighting is like a bit much. I kind of look like a ghost. Hi, how's it going? Awesome. So I guess like tonight, I wanted the topic to be LGBTQ representation in fantasy, and as well as maybe sci-fi, because there's a lot of examples. But I wanted to kind of share my experience growing up and what I saw in media, and just I guess how I saw things, how I've seen things change, and what inspired me to write LGBTQ characters. So I'm gonna give this like a few more minutes. I shared the link with my writing group, and hopefully some more people will hop on. And I shared it on Instagram and on Facebook. So hopefully we can get a few more people into chat tonight, and then we will start our discussion. So just some food for thought. Like, what was the landscape or the your experience growing up watching LGBTQ characters in TV shows and movies? Did you find them in novels? Any characters that you found to be inspirational, or and even now, like who are some of your favorite characters? So just kind of think about that and yeah. Hello, welcome. How are you guys doing tonight? We've got 5 people in here. Awesome. Alrighty, well, I guess I will start. Growing up, I did not see a lot of representation on TV. As far as like books and stuff, I mean, as a kid, I read kids' books and stuff, and especially in that time in the 80s, I don't ever remember seeing representation in books or comics. I mean, and especially on TV, I didn't really see anything until perhaps like maybe I was like a teenager, and even then, like a lot of those types of characters were sort of suppressed. You know what I mean? Like I remember watching a lot of like young adult dramas as a teenager, and most of like the representation I saw in those were pretty stereotypical, and they weren't really given full storylines as far as like romance goes. I mean, if you saw a gay character, it was usually somebody that was creepy, somebody who was dying of AIDS, or someone who essentially was like a monk. They weren't allowed to have any sort of love scenes or like anything substantially romantic. Mm, I watched like some of like a lot of Once Upon a Time. Are you talking about the actress that plays Mulan? Because the writers make Mulan. a lesbian in Once Upon a Time? Or are you talking about a different character? 'Cause I remember when Mulan first came into Once Upon a Time, she was in love with Philip, and then after a while, they sort of like flipped the script, and then they made her in love with Aurora. But I'm not sure who Allison Robin is. If you're referring to like the actress, or one of these days, I will most likely finish Once Upon a Time. But oh, okay, I probably didn't make it that far into the series. I think I saw up to the point of the season that had like Aladdin in it, but I haven't seen beyond that. But that's cool. I mean, I guess they had two lesbian characters in the show. Right on, cool. What was it like for you guys, like growing up, as far as like trying to find representation in things that you enjoyed, or do you think that there was much as far as like your experience growing up? Like I said, for me, it was pretty scarce. So when I went to into the planning stages of writing, I was sort of unsure if writing lead gay characters would be a popular move. I didn't know if it could be something that was mainstream. So that's, I guess, what kind of made me a bit tentative at first. You know, I think early on, two characters, and this is probably going to sound kind of silly, but two characters that I was a little bit taken back by, and I was in junior high. So here, Poetic Bear says the only gay character I remember growing up that I actually liked was powerful as well. Yeah, Willow Rosenberg from Buffy the Vampire Slayer is awesome. I love her. I think I was about like 15 or yeah, 15 when Buffy started. But for me, before that, like I was saying, two characters that I read about before, like I actually saw them on screen, was from Sailor Moon, Sailors Uranus and Neptune. And I remember before their season was dubbed, I read spoilers online that two characters in that series were lesbians, and that kind of surprised me. And I thought it was cool. Yeah, that's true. Very true. Yeah, like I said, like a lot of the times, like if a character was gay, it was somebody that was creepy or evil, or they had to have some sort of storyline about somebody that was sick. I mean, I'm not trying to shame anyone who has HIV, but I just felt like a lot of the times, especially gay male characters, were sort of pigeonholed as in like, oh, well, you're gay and you dared to have a sex life, so now you just by default you have HIV. Yeah, it was kind of tough growing up, but I think that was one of the earlier on like experiences I had of like experiencing that in a show that I liked with Sailor Moon. I don't know, that probably sounds kind of weird, but it was cool. And then when the season was dubbed, I remember turning on Cartoon Network and seeing that they were dubbed as cousins. So I was like, okay, this is stupid. Oh gosh. I think it was after that season that I actually started buying the DVDs and just watching the Japanese version all the time because the new voices in that season were terrible. And just the fact that they dubbed two lesbian characters as cousins it was insane. When did Pretty Little Liars come out? I've never actually seen it before. But yeah, I mean, I'm not against obviously like people within the spectrum being written as villains, but I don't think that it should just be like if the character is within the spectrum, they're bad. Oh yeah, for sure. I remember when the series started, they didn't play to it as much, but after the show producers or whatever, after they saw that the show had attracted a lesbian following, then they just sort of like played to it. I've seen so many interviews with Lucy Lawless and Renee O'Connor talking about that, where I guess in their minds they didn't see it, but they knew that there was an audience for that relationship. So they decided to sort of play on it, and they definitely did. There were a lot of instances where they would find any excuse to make them kiss, or get into a bath together, things like that. It was funny, definitely. They definitely played that up on Xena for sure. But I love that series. Recently, I think it was like maybe like 4 months back. I bought the complete DVD box set, and I binge watched it. It'd been so long since I'd seen it, but I remember as a teenager I was obsessed with Xena Warrior Princess. Oh, okay, right on. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't sure when Pretty Little Liars came out. I mean, I've always been aware of the show, but I've never actually watched it. I think I initially found out about it just because I used to watch Charmed, and Holly Marie Combs is in both shows. Have any of you guys seen Torchwood? Like that was one character, Captain Jack Harkness, that I guess you couldn't particularly say he's gay, but at least maybe like bisexual, pansexual, and I thought he was cool. I love Mortal Instruments. Alec and Magnus are awesome. I love them. I actually, when I was kind of preparing for the chat, because I knew that in the moment I may like have a brain fart and just be like, okay, well, I like all these things, but now I can't think of anything. So I pulled up a couple pages, and one of the first uh, couples that comes to mind within fantasy that inspired me to write my characters is the Mortal Instruments. So it's like so Megan says that she likes the mystery of Pretty Little Liars, but the storylines were problematic. Why do you think they were problematic? I mean, I'm not really too concerned about spoilers because I don't really think I'll ever watch the show. But what did you think was problematic about it? I think I'd have to say Magnus Bane is probably my favorite character in the Mortal Instruments. I mean, within the books, he's awesome. I thought that they did a pretty good job with him in the movie itself. R.I.P. to the awesome actor who played him there. Um, and then I thought in the TV series, like he was pretty cool. I loved the fact that he was given a pretty good arc in that TV show. But yeah, like I said, I think when I first started seeing representation in fantasy books that I liked, it made me more comfortable with the idea of writing the gay leads that I wanted to write in my book, because I was kind of nervous that if I came out with a book that had um, a gay lead, that it could never really be like a mainstream book. I thought that it would sort of just be pigeonholed as like sort of just like a gay book. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with uh, a genre that is predominantly, I guess, just stories about being gay and like the struggles or whatever dynamics of being gay. But I guess for me, I just wanted to write a story where being gay wasn't an issue, and that I could construct a character that was multifaceted and just happened to be gay, but it wasn't a story about him struggling with his sexuality. Okay, so first episode, 16-year-old girl starts a relationship with her English teacher. Yikes. Then they met in a bar, and final season they get married. Oh my gosh, wow. That sounds like some straight up CW shit. Oh my god. Yeah, wow. That's crazy. Let me see. I don't know if I've seen that character before, so let me. Captain Holt was that? Oh, okay, right on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know my friend Jackson. He's in the chat tonight. He watches Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Uh, I guess personally, so Poetic Bear says, I hear they want to use Shia LaBeouf as to play Iceman. How do you feel about straight actors playing gay when there's so little roles in Hollywood for LGBTQ? I don't know. Like, I don't really believe that there's like so little roles anymore, just because just about every TV show and every movie has representation in it. And for me, I don't really mind if a gay man or a straight man plays a gay character. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, when I watched Will and Grace, I didn't care that Eric McCormick played Will Truman. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I guess I can understand maybe why it might bother some people, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, I think that just like the essence of acting is to like become someone else. And it is nice. Don't be wrong when you have marginalized people being able to actually play themselves in movies and TV shows. But it's not like back in the day where you had like John Wayne movies that had pretty much like white people with like shoe polish on their faces, trying to be Indian or like African American. But it is nice when you have gay actors playing gay characters. But either way, it doesn't bother me just because I mean it's acting. Not to mention how many gay actors have played straight characters. Just saying. But no, it's fine. I don't know. Like, do you guys think that Shia LaBeouf is kind of like too old to play Iceman? I don't know. Isn't he like 50? I don't know. Okay, I'm being sarcastic, but I don't know. He seems like eh. I don't know if I'd buy him in the role, but at the same time, I guess it's one of those things you never really know until you see someone actually play the character. Sorry, that was a bit tea. I didn't mean that to be mean, but either way, I'm excited for the MCU to be sort of for it to be recast because I love X-Men. Yeah, he's probably in his 30s. I'm just joking. Do you guys think that Captain Marvel will end up being a lesbian in the MCU? Yeah, I kind of do too. I mean, obviously. Okay, so I was gonna make a comment on her haircut, but that's probably kind of mean. No, but I think that there should be a lot more representation in Marvel between people of different ethnic backgrounds and obviously LGBTQ. I think that's cool. I think that I read that there's supposed to be like one of the Eternals that's supposed to be gay, so that's kind of cool. Speaking of comic book stuff, it's kind of funny. I'm in different like DC and Marvel groups, and there are some people who embrace diversity and just sort of in more modern times, embracing, I guess, representation and different types of people and sort of like reimagining characters. And in some cases, I think it's great. And in others, I kind of question the motivations behind it. But I think it's funny in some of those groups when you see someone post a non-canon picture, granted, a very non-canon picture of like Batman kissing Superman, and you'll have all these like fanboys just like shitting themselves and going off about how it's ruining their childhood and all this other stuff. It's funny, but it is nice to see more representation within the industry for sure. Excuse me, but it's kind of funny also because if you think about it, it's like a lot of those fanboys they have a problem with Batman kissing Superman, but they're probably completely and totally fapping to like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, and that's fine with them. But the second it's like it doesn't match their fapping fantasy, then they just like they hate it. So, like I said, when I first started kind of planning my book, I was kind of nervous about writing writing gay leads. And I guess, when we grow up and we get immersed into the world of like just I guess entertainment media, it feels good to see representations of, of how you view yourself, whether you're black, you're Indian, you're Asian, you're, within the spectrum of like LGBTQ. And it's nice to see, celebrities or even characters who you kind of connect to because you see despite maybe some similar struggles in their lives that you have, it's like, they made it or they're respectable, they're powerful, they're loving, they're loved. I mean, it's kind of cool to see um, yourself on the screen in a way, I guess. And that's, I think, a lot of are one of the strongest arguments that people make and a valid one for more representation within like, MCU and different very popular franchises. Um, but I was kind of nervous, and ultimately, I found characters that I really liked. One character is from Rick Riordan's the Percy Jackson series, Nico. He was pretty cool, and Magnus Bane, that was another one. Like you said, I love Torchwood, so I would enjoy Captain Jack Harkness. And that led me to create my MC, one of them, Jasper Kane. He is a gay male lead, and yes, I brought props. And Tenchi Shimizu. He is the second Yale gay male lead in my Knights of Avalon series. I had a lot of fun writing and developing their characters. I thought it was kind of fun to write um, two romances in the Knights of Avalon series. One is a straight romance, one is a gay romance. And at one point, I had somebody kind of ask me like which one I was more invested in, and honestly, I love them both, and I couldn't really choose. I don't really have any sort of bias just because like I'm gay. Alrighty, so another book series that I read that I felt had pretty good representation in it, as far as like having like a gay male lead, is written by one of my friends. His name is David Berger, and he writes a Greek-inspired series called Tasfarskaya, and his main character, Danilos Fairmont, is actually he is a gay male lead. He's an interesting character. He's strong, and like I was saying, as far as like my books go, I thought that it would be cool to write a character that happens to be gay, but it's not really part of his arc as far as being like a struggle. I think there's a lot of books out there like that though, which is cool. I think a lot of people need them for like inspiration as far as maybe finding the courage to come out themselves, or knowing that despite how harsh society can be if you're different, that you are still worthy of existing and to be happy. Let's see. I'm kind of curious. Marvel Eternals gay character. Let's see. What's his deal? No, here, let me. That's like information on the one character from the Eternals. So Charlie Bradbury. So I'm having a brain fart, and let's see here. Google is your friend. Okay, let's see here. Oh yeah, Dove from Supernatural. Oh my god, I am like I'm disgraced right now. I like just read the name, and then I was like, "Who's that?" And I watched Supernatural. So oh my gosh, please forgive me. But yes, I love Felicia Day. I'm actually a member of her official Discord group, and she does a lot of lives here on YouTube. Like I love Charlie. Like I don't know. I guess I'm not sure if anyone here hasn't seen Supernatural and doesn't want spoilers, but I was upset with what they did with her character. But I love Felicia Day. She's so funny. And like I think one of my favorite characters, not that she's gay in that series, was the Guild, but she was incredibly in Supernatural. Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. Glee definitely had a lot of representation in it for sure. Right? That would have been nice. Maybe Dean. Oh my gosh. No, I think it's funny in Supernatural though how a lot of people ship like Dean and Castiel, and it's called like Dastiel or something like that. But there was even an episode. I'm terrible with episode names, but where they had a school that was doing a Supernatural musical, and they had in the musical where the two actresses, it was two girls that played them, but they made it where Dean and Castiel were like a couple in the musical. So that was kind of funny. It's always entertaining whenever a series knows that fans ship something. Like going back to what we were talking about with like Xena, how the showrunners knew that it had a decent lesbian audience, so they decided to sort of play on that, and then with Supernatural, I think the showrunners knew that a lot of people really liked the idea of Dean and Castiel together, so then they did that thing with with the musical. That was funny though. Like, where do you guys think the line is between a showrunner kind of giving fans what they want to some extent, as far as like, hey, we're making this episode and we're going to have the school have a musical, and then we're gonna kind of like play to this whole Dean and Castiel thing versus like queer baiting. Like, where do you draw the line between writing something that is in good taste or humor versus like queer baiting? What do you guys think? And if any of y'all are curious, that is. Queer baiting is a marketing technique for fiction and entertainment which creators hint at, but then do not actually depict same sex, romance, or LGBTQ representation. I mean, as much as I like Xena, I could probably say that that show had some elements of queer baiting in it because they knew that a large section of the audience or like amount of the audience were lesbians and liked that, and then they sort of played to it but never gave it to them. Which I'm not particularly sure is like maybe a good or a bad thing, but I've heard the terminology thrown around quite a bit, and it usually has a negative connotation. So, what do you guys think about that? So Megan says, I think the difference is that we knew their at least Jean's sexual orientation, so it wouldn't make sense to actually put them together. Agreed. But they played up the chemistry in a special way. Yeah, it was done in like a funny way for sure. I mean, it's not like they were uh, putting the characters together on like maybe in an episode when they were like under a spell or or anything like that. Yeah, yeah, you're right for sure, for sure. It made sense for that episode, and I didn't have a problem with that. Like one series that I thought had some decent LGBTQ representation is like Spartacus. I thought they had some pretty cool gay characters in that. Have you guys seen the Spartacus series? They had two characters that were in I think like the first season. I'm blanking their names. But I know like the two characters that had the biggest storyline was like one guy named Agron and the other guy's name was like Nasir, and they were in like I think like three seasons. I'm trying to think of the other dude's name. Starts with a B. Let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So I knew there was like Agron and Nasir, and then Barca. That was the other one. But I remember the other dude that he was actually in a relationship with died a lot earlier on, and like I think it was like Gods of the Arena. But yeah, that series had some like I guess representation in it as well, which was cool. I haven't actually watched much of Riverdale. I tried to, I just couldn't get into it. Um, but yeah, like who? I wonder who actually is gay in that series. I know Sabrina that has representation in it, as far as like there's a transgender character in it. But yeah, Riverdale. I just couldn't get into it. But Sabrina, I love Sabrina, and I'm disappointed that this next season is going to be the last. That kind of sucks. Like I thought that it would have at least like maybe like 5 to 7 seasons. I mean, it's a really good series. So yeah, I don't know why it's being canceled or whatever, but bummer. Let's see. So I guess random factoid is I read that as far as Joss Whedon goes, the creator of Buffy Vampire Slayer, before he made Willow a lesbian, I guess he wasn't quite sure if he wanted to make Xander gay instead. So that would have been interesting because oh my gosh, that would have been so weird to have Xander come out of the closet after he was obsessed with Buffy. Not that Willow wasn't ever like obsessed with Xander, but I feel with the way that they built up her character, it made a lot more sense. Yeah, Doom Patrol. Yeah, that they have a gay character in it as well. Like I'm pretty sure I'm all caught up with Doom Patrol. It's one of those series where it's totally off the wall and bizarre, but in a good way. It's cool. I like it a lot. Oh yeah, Matt Boomer's like the actor is Matt Boomer, and then um, I'm like blanking the dude's name. I'm like so bad. Larry Trainer, I think that's his name. Yeah, I thought it was cool how Doom Patrol has his character, and then they have like the one character that um was like an FBI agent or whatever, and then he came out as like I think transgender, and then he was like on that like uh God, I'm trying to think of like the name of that straight. Sorry, like terrible with names. But yeah, they've got some representation in that as well. Yes, American Horror Story definitely always has like some gay and lesbian characters. Yeah, they got married and and like were raising a kid together. Correct? I think it was like Ross's son, right? Like I've never seen all of Friends, but I've seen some of the episodes. I think early on, like for me, when I was watching sort of like dramas and things that I was into, I would see gay characters, but I know this is like so corny, but it was a guilty pleasure, and I still laugh about even watching it now. And even on occasion, I'll go on YouTube and I'll watch clips of it. But I used to watch the original Melrose Place, and I never watched it because I was like, "Oh, this is such a great show." I watched it because I thought it was freaking hilarious. But anyway, so they had a gay character on that show, and he had like a few relationships in the series, but it was never quite the same as the other characters because despite the fact it was one huge shit show, you constantly saw like these straight characters like making out and bed hopping and all this other stuff, and he just would always meet these guys that were crazy or like cheating on their wives or other things like that, and you just never got the same like sense of him having romance as like the straight characters. And then 90210. I used to watch the original Beverly Hills 90210, which looking back on that show was completely whitewashed. I remember seeing an interview with Aaron Spelling before he died, and he talked about that was one of his regrets with that cast was it was so whitewashed and there wasn't much diversity when the series started. And there certainly weren't any gay characters on that show at all, as far as like in the main cast. But when they would have a gay character, it was typically someone who was like had like HIV or something like that because they needed to preach at you. Oh yeah, like I remember I didn't see all of Dawson's Creek, but I watched a lot of it and I thought that they had a good storyline with Jack for sure. I think as a note, I think like the first like kind of openly gay character or even actor in a TV show in a TV series was Ellen DeGeneres. So that was kind of like groundbreaking for the time that she came out in real life and on her show. So that was a big deal back then. I don't think I was quite young enough to appreciate it, but I've heard it cited in quite a few places that she was sort of a pioneer. Um, what does that mean? Oh yeah, Orange is the New Black. I was like, what does that mean? Guys probably like just like the wheels like turning. I'm like, yeah, it did for sure. I think didn't Orange is the New Black end after the new season? Like I don't know, is it like has it run its course? I don't know because I think there are at least two seasons that I haven't seen, but I was pretty into it when it was on or when it first started. Sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize for my brain fart. I probably should have known that what that meant, but just in the moment, it was kind of like derp. Let's see. So I'm gonna say gay characters. You know, I have to say, yeah, you know, there was a pretty good character, pretty gay characters. I mean, there was like a trans character for Orange Is the New Black. I have to say, one character I always hated on Orange Is the New Black was Piper. I always thought she was so annoying. Like I just could not stand her at all. I thought that she was the most annoying character in Orange Is the New Black. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but I just couldn't stand her. She was so annoying. Like I watched a little bit of my so-called life, but I don't really know that much about it. Like I don't know. I just like I'll eventually finish Orange Is the New Black because I think that it has a lot of good actresses in it and it's a good show. But I think it's so hard to keep up with a lot of stuff because there's like so many shows that. Yeah, I like Alex because I mean I really liked the character from that '70s show, but just Piper. Oh my gosh, it's like go peddle your panties somewhere else. Somebody wants to buy your stinky underwear. Oh my gosh, I couldn't stand her. She was so annoying. Like I was actually really happy when this show sort of shifted its focus from being predominantly on her character. And nothing against the actress because I'm sure she's great, but just the character was just she was a turd. She was a turd sandwich. So Nikki Knowles or Nicole's, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, but Alex Voss, so she was a good character. Lauren Morello, she was like she was a bit much for sure. I'm looking at this like cast list of like LGBTQ characters within Orange is the Black. Uh, one character I thought was great, but so tragic, and I want to say her name right, but Pause or whatever, like the African American character. I hated how her well, I didn't hate it, but I thought it was really sad how her character arc ended. Yeah, I've never seen Lucky One. Like I said, I'm sure she's a good actress. I just don't like that character. I think the character was like just she was so irritating. But I suppose within like, you know, prison and all that, she probably thought that she was becoming what she needed to be to survive. And but for me, it was one big turd sandwich. Like she was so irritating. Let's see. I thought Laverne Cox was probably one of my favorite people in Orange is the New Black. I thought she had a really cool character. I thought she had a really powerful arc. So something I'm thinking of doing with these chats, because I really love to continue doing them each week. But something I'm looking to do is I'm looking to like find people to sort of like host them with me, and I don't really know how to continue doing them each week. But something I'm looking to do is I'm looking to like find people to sort of like host them with me, and I don't really know how to set that up on YouTube quite yet, but I can look it up. But if any of you guys are interested in hopping on a cam with me, one of these weeks and just talking about a topic, that would be amazing. It seems like um, it seems like from what I've seen in certain like shows, they're making they're I guess they're giving representation to like younger and younger people because it's not so much that it needs to be based in like putting this character in a relationship, but I think that they're trying to express the fact that nowadays, like people, not everyone, granted, but there is a culture of acceptance, and I've seen younger kids that have been coming out as gay or transgender at much younger ages, and I think that's cool. I mean, it's not like again just because say Will, if from Stranger Things came out as gay, they were going to be like, well, he's gay and now he needs a boyfriend. No, I mean, if anything, they just probably would have said, hey, well, he's gay and this character is coming to terms with like, an aspect of his identity or Nikki. So, oh yeah, like here, let me say it. Like, I think she was, yeah, like I remember, Nikki was cool. She was a bit of a loose cannon though, but like the actress is really good. Have you seen that show called Russian Doll? She's good in that. I'm not sure if the second season is out yet, but I've seen the first and it was pretty good. No worries. So something I thought was funny growing up. I mentioned that I'm a huge Sailor Moon fan. I think I first saw Sailor Moon when I was like 11 or 12 years old, and I love the dub. I can't deny. I mean, like looking back at it in retrospect, it's like it's cool for nostalgic reasons, but when you compare it to the actual source material, it's kind of garbage. But I remember I was able to sort of access information on seasons and things that weren't dubbed into English at the time. And I remember reading about these characters called the Sailor Starlights. And I don't know if any of you guys watch Sailor Moon or if you're familiar with who they are, but it wasn't this way in the manga. And I guess the creator actually disliked what they did with the anime. But regardless, in the anime, it was a group of three women that when they were in their civilian forms, they would be men, but when they would transform into like their sailor guardian forms, then they were women, and that was a bit of a trip to see, especially when you watch like the transformation scenes of them actually like going from like male to female. So you know, Sailor Moon definitely had some representation in it, and sometimes it wasn't always straightforward. In one of the movies, Sailor Moon: R Promise of Rose, there is a bad guy. His name is Fiore, and he is obviously in love with Mamoru, Tuxedo Mask, but they just don't come out and say it. But there's like scenes where he's like, "Oh, I brought you flowers," and he holds his hand, and yeah, it's like he's totally gay. But but I guess by the time they got to Sailor Moon S, they were okay just making Uranus and Neptune lesbians, and yeah. So I don't know if you would describe the Sailor Starlights as like some form of like I guess maybe transgender. I don't know because they would like switch gender. I don't know. And I'm not trying to sound insensitive towards anyone that's transgender. I have two people in my family that identify as transgender. So I'm not trying to say that because you're transgender you switch, but it just made me curious if that's what they were going at because they were taking characters and they were kind of changing them. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching there, but there were other characters within the Sailor Moon universe that fell on the spectrum of LGBTQ as well. Like in the first season, there was a character named Zoisite, and he was in a relationship with another male character named Kunzite. Of course, when they dubbed it, they turned one of them into a woman. And then there was another character named Fisheye who was also a gay male, but through some of his schemes, he would transform himself into a woman, and he was also in love with Mamoru. But yeah, I think that was like some of the earliest stuff I ever saw as far as representation within something that I actually like watched that was a bit more straightforward than anything I was used to. I've heard that Steven Universe actually has representation. And is that true? I've never really watched it, but I've heard that has gay representation, or I don't know, I'm not sure. Another example I've seen recently is Shira, that ended with Shira and Katra in, I guess, in love or whatever. Um, Another thing I saw was the Legend of Korra. She ended up with another female character. So yeah, it seems like even some of these cartoons are kind of giving representation for a younger audience, which I think is great. I've never seen American Crime, but that's cool. There's so much to watch now. It's hard to keep up with everything. I mean, I'm even so behind on shows that I love and that I'm so into. I just get so behind in them between between writing and just trying to work and trying to keep up with shows that I like because there's just so much to watch. Another show that I really liked that had a gay couple in it is Modern Family. I thought that was a good show. The Haunting of Hill House. Who like I can't remember who was gay in that. Like, was it like the main character? I don't remember. Oh no, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Like she was like bisexual in that, wasn't she? But yeah, I thought Modern Family. I thought that had I guess like a good depiction of like representation, and because they had two guys that were in a stable relationship and they were married and or the well they got married in the series and they ended up with two kids. That was cool. There's a couple of series that I guess I mean, well, especially for the one series, its time was very controversial, and that is a remake of a British show called Queer as Folk, and I thought that was an interesting show because it depicted, I guess, the lifestyles of gay men and a lesbian couple, but I guess it was interesting because you saw sort of a spectrum of how these characters approached life and just romance, and you had some characters that were unable to connect and they were just sort of sexual, and then you had others who longed and were sort of like searching for something more, while you had a lesbian couple who were in a committed relationship and had a child. So I thought that was kind of an interesting series. I've heard people talk about I guess it's sort of counterpart the L Word, but I've never watched it. Yes, I love Cam and Mitchell. They're awesome. Like they're so funny. 6 Feet Under. Who was what character was gay in that? I've never seen 6 Feet Under. I've seen some episodes of House. Like yeah, but it's like you guys are like just like throwing all these out, but it's interesting how I guess that's like that cultural uh I just how representation, I guess, how just within culture has like grown so much because there's so many characters out there now that give a voice and a face to so many marginalized people, and I think that's amazing. Let's see, 13 on House. I don't like again. I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever like seen enough of House to really know characters' names. So let's see here. I am curious. Okay, so Remy 13 Hadley, MD, is a fictional character on the Fox medical drama House, portrayed by Olivia Wilde. She was part of the new diagnostic team assembled by Dr. Gregory House after the demanding of his previous team, or disbanding, excuse me, of his previous team in the third season finale. Oh, I didn't know that. Let's see who the actress is. Yeah, I've seen that actress in like various stuff. She's a good actress. I saw Penny Dreadful. Gosh, like when was the finale? I did see all three seasons of it, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, they definitely had representation. You had some guy and guy action in that show. Cool, cool. The Fosters. I don't think I've seen that either. I feel like such a dunce right now. You guys are all saying all these shows. I'm like, I don't think I've seen it. But that's cool. I'll have to check it out. Another series that I recently revisited that was a gay series is called Looking, and that was on HBO. That was good. That was a good series. Um, have you guys seen the live action Beauty and the Beast? Like, I thought it was interesting how they made that character LaFoe or whatever LaFou, how they made him gay and they made him in love with Gaston in like the movie. Like, I don't think that they quite did that in the in the cartoon, but it definitely for sure in the live action version they made him gay. But yeah, there has been some interesting representation throughout Disney though, just because what's it called? Ursula from The Little Mermaid was modeled after an insane drag queen named Divine, and I regret ever watching any of her movies. They're crazy. It's okay, no worries. Typos happen. They're just a lot more mortifying to find in a published book than like a YouTube chat. So no worries. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was funny. And then like the guy that played him, I mean, I've seen the actor in different things. Like he's even like Olaf, the voice of Olaf in like Frozen, but I don't know his name. But he's a funny actor. Like he was recently in this movie. It was like a zombie movie. I think that was on like Netflix. But I'm trying to remember the name of it. Here, I'll look it up. But he was recently in like this like zombie movie on Netflix that was pretty funny. Trying to think of the name of it. Now Apocalypse. I don't think I've seen that. It's like My Land of the Night. I don't think I've seen it. Let's see here. Apparently, googling Netflix new zombie movie does not find a particular movie, so I think I'm just not gonna bother with that for now. But like, which Disney villains do you guys think were secretly like on the DL as far as being gay? Because honestly, I think Jafar was kind of a queen. Just saying, and maybe Captain Hook a little bit and Scar. I think they were all sort of like Yeah, I think Jafar wanted to rub. I think he wanted to rub that lamp. His diamond in the rough. Like he was a bit of a wicked queen. I'm just saying. Like, his laugh and everything, and his little song about Prince Ali. I thought it was kind of funny. I mean, I think that I think it's important to have representation, and I think that you don't have to give it, or you don't have to include romance or anything sexual just to normalize different types of people. But I thought it was entertaining how people kept speculating that Elsa was going to be a lesbian. Like, what do you guys think of that? Do you think that they, Disney, Pixar, whatever, do you think that they should make Elsa a lesbian? Right. Yeah. Well, hey, and then of course the crab from Moana because he's shiny. You know how gays love shiny things. Okay, so right now, well, yeah, Ursula was based after Divine for sure. Um, so a series that I'm watching right now that has a couple of gay characters in it is Shameless. Mickey and Ian. Like I don't particularly ship them, but I think that it's cool to see representation within that show. Another notable character, because I'm cheating and looking at Google. Have you guys seen Black Lightning? Because I guess that. Yeah, I love Elsa. Elsa is my favorite Disney princess. I mean, I guess, well, she was a queen, but now she's not a queen. I don't know. But it used to be Princess Jasmine, but now it's Elsa. Elsa's amazing. I love Elsa. I would be cool. I think it would be cool to make Wonder Woman bisexual. Like, I love Gal Gadot. I think she is a phenomenal Wonder Woman. I can't wait for Wonder Woman 2 or Wonder Woman 84. You think Kronk is gay? I don't know. I think I've seen those movies, but I don't know if they subtly hinted at anything in that front. Not sure. But yeah, there was a character in Black Lightning that's gay, but that's cool. I'm not sure if the series is still on. Um, Holt and Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Theo from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. What else have I seen? Like, there's like a lot of these shows. I mean, like I said, it's kind of hard to keep up with everything. Have you guys watched the series Glow, that wrestling show that has a couple of lesbian characters? But again, I think it's cool how there's so much representation in media now, and looking back to when I was a kid and just feeling like there wasn't really anything to now, where essentially like so many shows have trans, bisexual, gay and lesbian characters. I think it's great. The Magicians has Elliot. I think that's cool. And then of course a show that has a lot is Pose. Like, I watched the first season of Pose, but I haven't seen a show that has a lot is Pose. Like, I watched the first season of Pose, but I haven't seen the second. I'm not sure if it's doing out yet. Oh yeah, I can't remember the character's name, but he's like there's a character that uh the main guy in the first season borrows the lock or steals the Walkman from. I know, isn't he gay? King Candy. Oh yes, he is. Yes, from Wreck. But that's funny, King Candy. Let's see here. Going back to my cheat list. There's so much. There's so much cool. Um, Topaz is a lesbian character in Riverdale. I did not know that. Again, I tried watching it. I don't know. It just didn't hook me. I mean, rest in peace, Luke Perry. I remember him back from the 90210 days, but I don't know. I just couldn't stay interested in Riverdale. I don't know. To publish it. It's awesome. One controversial character here was what's it called? I think one controversial character that was made gay within the world of sci-fi, and let me know what you guys. I thought it was actually kind of cool how they made him gay. I think they did it as a bit of a nod to George Takei, but I don't know. I thought it was cool, and I thought it was handled as I thought it was handled really well. I mean, there was like they actually introduced him having a partner and I think a child, and I thought it was cool. I know some people complained, and even I guess George Takei sort of like expressed some disapproval, which was kind of disappointing. But I don't know. I thought it was good. I haven't seen much of the new, but I've heard that. And then of course I've seen a lot more representation in video games, which is kind of cool as well. Yeah, The Walking Dead had some representation in that. I enjoyed The Walking Dead for the longest time. I remember when it first started, I was completely and utterly addicted. I don't know how many times I would watch like the first seasons, and I remember when it would air, I would watch it like twice because I remember they would air it twice in the same day, and I just freaking love The Walking Dead. But after a while, I didn't enjoy it so much. I think that I mean, for my personal taste, I just felt like they sort of like, they just kind of like drug out certain storylines. I mean, I think they sort of. I guess my problem with Walking Dead is the fact that certain arcs, like the governor, and I'm trying to think of the other. Oh, and Negan. I felt like those storylines were just like sort of stretched out beyond like just it was so boring. And then I also kind of figured. Hell, it's a zombie apocalypse. I totally get people are gonna die. It's not like I would have ever expected like the main cast from season one to be the same as it is in season like seven. Of course, people are gonna die. It's a zombie apocalypse. Like there have to be like high stakes. Um, but I just felt like the writing went down like it went down the toilet for The Walking Dead. I thought it was like Negan. They drug locked up in a jail or something like that, and like he was like, still on the show after everything didn't kill him, and then I think they eventually do let him out, and he probably like. But honestly, I think that's what happens when some series they just go on like way too long, and they just end up making creative choices that, and they're eventually going to lose a lot of like their viewership based on those horrible writing choices. It was funny, but yeah. But anyway, so back to the topic of The Walking Dead. It just I don't know. I don't know. It was just after a while, I just couldn't stand it anymore. It was yeah, just wasn't the same. So for sure, like the didn't. I have been on a little over an hour, so I am so grateful to you guys for showing up and chatting with me. I've had an amazing time. If you guys have any ideas, things that you want to talk about, definitely comment them in the comment section or contact me. Also, I am looking for someone to jump on camera with me next week. Different when you've got someone else on cam too to sort of like to sort of like fill the audio. I feel like sometimes I ramble on a lot, and if there's any skill I have, it's definitely talking. But I suppose for me, it would be a little more fun to have that dynamic with someone else on cam interacting with you guys. So anyway, so I'm gonna call it a night again. Had a really fun time. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you later. Hard hands. All right, peace.